Death at Bishop's Keep, Chapter 4. With the recent appearance of emulsion papers and the further development of single-lens reflex camera, photography has become portable, making it an outstandingly useful tool. A single photograph is superior to half a dozen sketches, for the camera reveals what the eye beholds. With the camera, we may safely say it is no longer possible to harbor illusions. Photography as a Tool in Natural Science, British Journal of Photography, 1894. The student was pale and panting. "Pardon me, sir," he blurted. "There appears to be a dead body in my dig." Sir Archibald Fairfax put down his magnifying glass. He had overseen the Colchester excavation for several months now, and finds, small to be sure, but quite promising, were occurring daily. Just yesterday, for instance, the team at the Lion Street side had uncovered a patch of excellent Roman mosaic floor, in first-rate condition, no less. As he had written to his colleague Howell, he expected momentarily to make a more stimulating discovery. He had not, however, expected to turn up a skeleton. "A good show, old chap," Sir Archibald exclaimed, rising. "There are artifacts." The discovery of skeletal remains in the Colchester excavations was surprisingly infrequent, given that the town, the first Roman colony in Britain, was destroyed by Queen Boudicca in AD 60, and again by the Danes in the 9th century, and was the site of the Roundheads' famous siege of the Royalists in 1648. Sir Archibald would be pleased to surrender any bones of those to his colleagues who were versed in physical anthropology. Of far greater interest to him were the artifacts found with the skeleton. "Well, actually," the student wrung his hands, "that is to say—" Come, man," Sir Archibald commanded. "Get a hold of yourself. A good archaeologist must manage his work with dignity, never permitting himself to be swayed by the emotions of discovery." He gave the student a more kindly look. "In what stratum are you working, my boy? Of what period is this skeleton of yours?" The young man swallowed, his prominent Adam's apple bobbing above his collar. "But you see, sir, it's not a skeleton, at least not yet. The body appears to be recently deceased, and to make a bad lot worse, somebody tumbled dirt in on it. Mucked up my dig a good bit, sir." His voice became anguished. "And I was getting down to the Danes." Sir Archibald forgot about skeletons and artifacts. He snatched up the pith helmet he affected on sight, even in England, where it was hardly required to shade his head from the sun. In fact, even now the sun was hidden behind a bank of clouds, and the late summer morning was dull and cheerless. "Right," he said testily. "We'll just go and see, shall we? Can't have people tumbling dirt and mucking up the digs." The student's excavation was located in the southeast corner of a larger dig. When Sir Archibald reached the site, he found that several people had preceded him and were clustered disturbingly close to the excavation, no doubt tumbling down even more dirt. The first, he noted with approval, was a tall, strikingly lean man with a closely trimmed brown beard, a shapeless brown felt hat, and a camera on a wooden tripod. Charles Sheridan and his ubiquitous camera had provided an invaluable service at the dig. Sir Charles, who was also an amateur paleontologist, who understood how to behave on an archaeological site. The second man on the scene, to whom Fairfax took immediate objection, was a uniformed police sergeant, buttons gleaming. The unspeakable third was a seedy young police constable in a uniform shiny in the seat, his scuffed boots run over at the heels. "I'm sorry, sir," the student panted, reading Sir Archibald's sonorous scowl. "The constable happened to be walking by when I made the discovery. He heard my, exclamation of excitement, and he summoned a superior." "See here now," Sir Archibald said crossly to the two policemen. "We can't have this unauthorized person at the site. Next thing you know, there'll be tourists. Tourists, as irresponsible as water buffalo, as undisciplined as sacred crows." He glanced at the gentleman with the camera. "Not meaning you, old chap," he added. "Carry on as you will." Charles Sheridan gave Sir Archibald a restrained smile and took a photographic plate holder out of the larger bellows camera, put it carefully into the shoulder bag, and inserted another one. The sergeant, unperturbed by Sir Archibald's outburst, stepped back from the brink. I wonder, sir, if you'd mind asking your chaps to remove the dirt, or if you'd prefer my man to do it. Sir Archibald was incredulous. Your man, sir? In my excavation? Absurd. He has no qualifications. Just imagine what would happen should a valuable artifact reside beneath that lot of dirt. Can't have amateurs mucking about with ancient skeletons and irreplaceable antiquities. Simply not done. Perhaps, sir, the student said, tugging at his sleeve, you had better have a look first. Sir Archibald peered into the pit, an area about the size of a double grave, and very nearly as deep. At least, so it had been. Now, one of the sides had caved in, partially covering the floor of the excavation with an untidy heap of dirt and small stones. Out of the debris, Sir Archibald saw protruding a human hand, and perceived in an instant that this find would produce no artifact suitable for the collection of the British Museum, or for the documentation in the British Journal of Archaeology. This relic belonged in a morgue. "Well, sir," the sergeant asked, "what'll it be?" Sir Archibald turned to the sergeant. "Right then, lad," he said, not ungraciously. "Why don't you just pop down and clean out the pit? Down you go now." With that, he turned on his heel and marched back to his tent.